I'll tell you what. Does it sound okay? Can't hear anything. Echo. I can't hear you in Discord at all. Have you turned up? Let me see, maybe it's bugged. Or you know what? Maybe my Discord is not set up properly.
How about now? Testing, testing.
Oh, no, it was me.
It was you?
It was me.
It was you.
It was me. It was
Okay, now I can hear me coming through my headphones. That's how I know it's fixed.
Okay.
All right, so just give me the countdown and I'll start you off whenever.
Okay. Let me get this program loaded again. All right. First thing to note about this run is that I run it on an old version of the game because it has more glitches. And we don't allow the old version in any percent, but we do in this version. One thing in any percent that you can do is go to this clock tower, and it requires system manipulation. We ban that in any percent because you have to change your system clock, but in this run you don't have a choice. So I have to actually change my system time and then create a file. To get this to work. Okay. Now this game can crash anytime, and it can actually crash right here at the start. It's notorious for crashing right here at the start. So
Nice.
if it does crash, well then
We'll just restart timers.
start in 3, 2, 1. Yay! No crash. Okay, this is Fez. It's a puzzle 2D/3D platformer. Basically, you play in 2D, but you can change the perspective as if it was 3D. Pretty simple. There are a lot of puzzles in this game that actually require you to beat the game for you to solve them. Being that I'm a speedrunner, I already know the solutions to all the puzzles. So when you see a cube appear out of thin air, it's because there was a puzzle there, and I had to input like a random series of inputs on the controller to get it. So coming up here is the first major glitch of the game. There's a little animation when Gomez changes directions quickly. If you do that and fall off a ledge, you can jump really far. We're not supposed to be able to get that chest, and there shouldn't be like anything in the chest, so right there we got a cube early, which will keep us from having to get a more troublesome cube later in the game. And I'll be using that long jump quite often in the run.
So can you explain the number 209.4%? Why is that a thing?
Well, to beat the game, you need 32 cubes, and that gives you 100%. There's actually 64 cubes in the game, so when you get 64 cubes, you get 200%. That gives you the real ending of the game. And then there's these 3 special cubes that really don't serve a purpose. We think it was meant to tie into the sequel, but of course, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Phil Fish going Phil Fish.
So the golden cubes in this game, they're pretty much, you get those by doing platforming. You don't really need to do anything special to get those. There's 32 of them, and then there's these things called anti-cubes. There's also 32 of them. You get those by solving puzzles. And then there's these 3 red cubes. You get those by solving really hard puzzles. Being that this game pretty much visits everywhere, I'm not really going to be worried about spoilers. So if you've never played it casually and you're worried about spoilers or whatever, yeah, this is not the run to watch. So the hypercube gave us a hat, and first thing we do is abuse the perspective shift and destroy the hypercube. So yeah, hypercube breaks into a bunch of cubes, bits. We gotta put it back together. That's the main premise of this game. So we crash the game.
It's interesting that it kind of uses quote-unquote crashes like that. Undertale's another game that kind of utilized that as a mechanic.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mechanic. Kind of makes it meta. So this dialogue right here, she has this because we've already collected a cube. We're not supposed to have a cube right now. So if I mash through all this, if I mash through that dialogue too soon, the game will soft lock. So I wait for her to settle in, and now I can mash. And this is Dot. She is supposed to be our companion. I think at one point she even starts saying, "Hey, listen."
But she's also a companion cube, or actually that's a companion tesseract.
So skipping a little bit of dialogue here, and we do our first code. There's an interesting thing about this room is because in this game, there are like, to get the codes you have to do a lot of different things. Well, there are 3 QR codes in this game that you're supposed to read to get a set of inputs. That room is actually a duplicate for one of them, just in case you don't have a QR reader. Later on in the game, we're going to go into the room where that QR code is, because we've already collected the cube, we shouldn't be able to collect it again, but for some reason the game glitches out and it lets us get the cube in both places. So later on in the game, you're going to see me enter a room, leave it, go back in, and that's because I'm setting up the glitch. Those little gold things I'm collecting are bits. You need 8 of them, and it creates a golden cube. Whoops. You'll notice a lot we're going to be abusing the perspective shift to kind of clear distances really quickly. Right there on the screen you can see there's like a map floating in the air. We only collect one of those in the game. They don't add to the percentage, so the only thing we collect are things that add to the percentage. But there is one map later on that we have to grab because it gives us a cube. Happens to be one of those QR codes I was talking about. Right now you're seeing an example of teleport jumping, or shift jumping. We have different names for these things, but basically the game kind of loses track of where you're supposed to be and shoots you off in a random spot. And we found ways to kind of use that to our advantage. Went into that door early, it skips a little bit of dialogue. So this game has a lot of random sequence breaking things. It's meant to kind of relax you in the game. One of these is that every time you go into a door, there's like a zoom in animation. So we're going to try a glitch to be able to skip that zoom in animation. It's a frame perfect... Well, that's bad. Going for a swim! It's a frame perfect glitch, but it really isn't that hard to do. So I open the door, kind of step away from it a little bit, and there we go. There's like a 3-4 second zoom in animation that we just skipped. Here you can see a good example of the teleport jumping. Basically, there are symbols on every side of this bell that tell you how many times you're supposed to hit it. That's something you pretty much solve throughout the game by beating it and going to different areas and whatnot. Oops. And here's an example of that zoom in, since I messed up that glitch. There are 30 doors in the game you can use it on, and it saves like 2 minutes if you do it all, if you get every one of them. So this puzzle it's pretty complicated if you do it the right way, but I'm gonna glitch it, and I'm gonna make a cube jump. So that middle cube isn't actually supposed to be where it's at right now. By shifting the screen, it like jumped for some reason, like passed through solid matter and jumped. Oops. Here's some swag. A lot of times you're going to see me grab onto ledges and then hop up them really quick. That's a weird trick we found. We call it corner kicking. Basically, it lets us climb up a ledge much faster than we should be. And then we can also use it to change directions really quickly. The discovery of that glitch really opened up the movement of this game. I mean, it cut down this run by like 10 minutes almost. It saves a lot of time. So they designed this game to be really relaxed and not punished. So whenever you die, you kind of respawn where you are. So you don't have lives. Right here, we should die from this fall, but we open a door on at the same time before we are able to void out, and our character doesn't die. We just move on as if nothing happened. You know, he's got his moon boots on. But we call that I call it the door falling glitch. I mean, clever name, I know. This is my most hated room in the game. Basically, you can't change perspective in this room. You have to spin a dial up there. It's just annoying as piss. Well, there's that long jump glitch. Alright, in this room there's like a puzzle. You're supposed to carry these blocks up to the top. But that's slow. So I found if you despawn this cube in the water, stand in front of the door, wait for it to spawn. Well, as long as it doesn't push you back out of the way. It'll push you through the door so you don't have to do the puzzle. No, don't pick that up. I don't want that. Oh yeah, you just clip through the wall, okay. As you'll see, this game is brilliantly coded. So we used to, if you'll notice, the game goes night and day. We used to actually have to worry about the day and night cycles because we have to collect these owls that only come at night. But a recent glitch let us skip that. So this is a shortcut door. These shortcut doors are scattered around the game. They activate once you visit the area once. As long as you visited both areas once, you can use those doors. And we'll be abusing those. So right there, I missed the zoom in skip. So in this version of the game, while you're zooming in, you can input codes. So I did that to open this door. I actually opened 2 doors there. Whoops. The one to this waterfall, which lowers the water throughout the overworld. Oh, black holes. I'll get to black holes in here in a second. The other door I opened went to a music room. So black holes are pretty much the only case of RNG in this game. Every time you visit a map for a second time, they have a chance to spawn a black hole. Black holes pretty much just kill you when you jump into them. Nothing big. There's only a few maps in the game where it actually gets in the way. The more cubes you have, the more likely the black holes are to spawn. And this puzzle is going to be our first red cube. There's like a whole... You're supposed to read on that big obelisk in the middle and create a word using these blocks. I'm actually just glitching the blocks out because you're supposed to spin it around until you get the correct side, and then just a bunch of malarkey. But that's the first red cube. The puzzles in this game are sometimes very, very contrived.
Is this the one that had the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog puzzle?
Yeah, we're actually going to be skipping that room, but it's not even a puzzle. It's just it's just there, and you're supposed to notice it and be like, oh, okay, that's what that means. This is alphabet.
Yeah, because one of my friends showed it to me, and I looked at it. And I'm like, looks like a fox jumped, like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Are we talking fonts right now?
If I mash fast enough, I can skip the collection for all 3 of those cubes. So I just gathered like 3 cubes with only 1 animation. This is the music room. It's Mega Man inspired, but all the cubes spawn to a beat.
No, Mighty Number 9 was Mega Man expired.
Mega Man expired. Alright, this tuning fork. Basically, in your headphones, you can kind of hear the direction you're supposed to turn, and if you have rumble on your controller, that side that you're supposed to turn will rumble. And that gives you kind of the inputs you need to put to get that to spawn the cube. So there's a early cycle here we call 0 cycle, and it's the optimum cycle to get. I have missed that by quite a bit already. And I missed that. Oh crap. Okay, so now I gotta wait for it to cycle back. So, that was a lot of time lost there. I had to wait for 2 cycles because I screwed up the platforming. But there's a really early cycle that you can get in it. I mean, it doesn't save a whole lot of time. It's like 10 seconds, but it's really difficult to get. Here's a good teleport jump. Whee! Now we're over here. So getting the inputs to push to make that cube spawn is you have to beat the game and go into first-person mode, which you unlock once you beat the game once. And you can actually look on the floor where that obelisk is sitting, and you can see the inputs. Of course, deciphering what those notes mean to actually know the inputs is a whole other mess in and of itself. There's a lot of puzzles within puzzles in this game. Interesting to note, that screen was not a load screen. It's put in the game just to kind of break up the action. So it literally has no purpose to be there other than screw you if you're speedrunning it. This will be the only map we collect in the game right here. Now that we have that map, we can make that cube spawn anywhere. I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit. This long jump. So us speedrunners, we in the current version of the game, we actually we got a hold of the developer or the programmer, not the developer, not Phil Fish, but he actually let us QA test it, and we got a lot of bugs in the game fixed. It's also meant a lot of the glitches, speedrun glitches, but the current version of the game on Steam is a lot more stable version of the game, thanks to us speedrunners. And I think we have some speedrunners have some credits in the credits of the game. We even got him to add a speedrun mode that you can activate in launch options. It's basically, it has a built-in timer on the side that pauses for load times, and it creates a split every time you grab a cube.
I like when developers try to support speedrunning to an extent. I'm not a big fan of when they how do I explain it? If you try to build a game towards an intended purpose, it almost never reaches that intended purpose. Like if you design your game from the ground up to be an esport or to be a speed game, there's a good possibility that it might be too simple for that, and then the community doesn't take to it.
Yeah. So this is another room that is an alternate for a QR reader. If you don't have a QR reader, by getting the cube in that room, it disables the cube in the other place. So we enter and leave that room to activate that shortcut door, and we're going to use that later. We've got to come back to this room. Boy, I'm just missing those zoom-ins. Jesus. For these to flip all the way around because they can make you fall through the earth. Oh, almost didn't grab onto that. So there are two codes in here. You look through this telescope and you can see the inputs that you need to push through the sky. And then there's a second code to get a red cube. And you solve that by looking at stars that are blinking and realizing that they're in binary. It's a ridiculously hard puzzle to solve if you have no idea you're even looking for it. There we go. This next room is the room where you're basically supposed to realize that your button pushes correlate to a symbol on these stones. So this big old thing up here makes a symbol every time you push a button. We call that the Rosetta Stone. Oh, I just fell through that solid piece of matter. That tends to happen from time to time. Just like that. Here's that shortcut door from earlier. Whoops, I got eaten. Just some simple collection here, and then we're going to move on to the clock tower, which is just an awful place. An awful, awful place. I discovered a well. I say I discovered. I didn't really discover the glitch, but I found a consistent way to complete the glitch. Basically, this clock tower, it reads your system time, and that's how it determines to spawn cubes. There's one cube that spawns every minute, one cube that spawns every hour. Oh, there's that. And then one cube that spawns every week. So by starting the game at a certain time, we can change our system clock and manipulate the cubes to spawn. Well, we found that the cubes, they spawn on these platforms that raise and lower. If you spawn the cube while the platform is raising or lower, during the animation of the cube spawning, it spawns a whole cube for some reason. So you can just grab a cube. If you do it fast enough, you can actually get 2 cubes from the 1 cube. There are 4 spots here, so a total of 4 chances to get extra cubes. The speedrun only makes use of 3, so I'm going to try that right now. Alright. Here goes nothing. Nope. Okay, so I missed 1. That's okay. As long as I get 1 of them, which I'm guaranteed to get, the run's fine. Okay. Nope, didn't get that one fast enough. Whoa. Okay, hold on. This is why this room is a pain in the butt. So we wait for the clock to get to a certain point. Nope, missed it again. I've never missed this cube this many times before. Talk about choke. Okay, there we go. Like I said, that's a pretty new glitch. There's only 1 run that's actually even utilized it. Alright, shut up, Dot. Shut up, Dot. So even though I wasted a lot of time there, by getting that 1 extra cube, it's still going to even out overall. This is one of those places where black holes really screws up. Into the mines. So there's a glitch I'm going to try here where I'm going to try to pick up the bomb where it explodes. Okay, I got it. Instead of it respawning in the normal spot, I just picked it up where it blew up. And the bomb won't reactivate again until I put it down. Try it again here. Alright. It's a deceptively difficult glitch to do. And it only saves like 2 seconds if you do that. Alright, so normally we would grab this bit and then leave, but for safety's sake on the marathon, I'm going to go ahead and grab the key that's here. Another recent glitch lets us skip this key, but giving my level of choke right now, I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Because if you don't get this key, I mean, there are backup keys, but they're so far out of the way, it's pretty much run over. Supposed to teleport to Gomez. There you go. Yeah, this guy's name's Gomez. I don't know where... I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. We need to name our character. What do you think? Let's name him Gomez. In this room, we'll have another instance of invisible platforms. We've already had one other area with them so far, but basically those maps that you see around, those usually give you kind of hints to where things are, and one of them is the invisible platforms throughout the game. So there's a map somewhere in the game that will tell you about the invisible platforms here. If you go through this door fast enough, you skip a little bit of... Well, I didn't get there fast enough. You can skip some dialogue. It's important to point out how beautiful the music in this game is.
Mind if I hit a quick plug?
Go ahead.
Alright, for those of you super late nighters in Europe, or kinda early nighters in America, welcome to Trashathon 2017, your only speedrunning marathon that does not claim to be of any sort of quality at all. We are benefiting the Testicular Cancer Foundation, or Society, excuse me, who, they take care of those who have suffered from testicular cancer or are currently suffering, and the people who take care of them. So, big shout out to those guys. If you would like to donate, there are several donation incentives for you. And you go ahead and pull those up right now, and I can tell you what they are. Still unmet are the Tooth and Tail New Game Plus glitch, the Super Mario Odyssey scooter chase. Poncho and Sombrero has been said to be covered by Detroff, but keep that in the back of your mind for now. The Super Mario Galaxy Perfect Run is going to be $20. And then the Terrifying Secret Mystery Game, if you would like to attempt that one, that's $500. There's also a poll going on for the Last Commander Standing in the Tooth and Tail campaign. So if you have a favorite character in that game, go ahead and vote. Otherwise, it's going to be Quartermaster because I'll put money on it.
The secret game is E.T. for the Atari.
Oh, you wish. This game makes E.T. look like... Well, the game isn't a bad game, but it is secret, mystery, and terrifying.
Alright, this next room has been passionately dubbed Bitrate Hell. Basically, it's a room that cycles through every tile in the game. The music is also a Frankenstein mixture of a lot of the different musics in games, so prepare for eye vomit. The long jump lets us skip pretty big portions of this room.
I feel like Phil Fish hated people with epilepsy.
And there's the glitch room. Sorry for your bitrate. I hope the stream didn't just die.
Nah, dude, it's fine. We survived and passed with flying colors. Just like there's far too many of them in this room.
Oh no. So water is kind of a pain in the butt. We'll go ahead and do this room while we're down here. Basically, this is one of the few unsolved puzzles in the game. It was solved through brute forcing. First thing we have to do is we have to summon this obelisk by standing in a very specific spot and then putting a specific code in. Which the game is telling me I didn't stand in the right spot. Okay. There we go. And then we have to stand in another very specific spot to turn this monolith into a red cube. There are people who have kind of ideas on how to solve the puzzle, but they got it after the fact, so we're not actually sure what the correct idea is.
So, like, we have the solution, but we don't know why the solution is the solution.
Yep, pretty much. The internet community just came together and started brute forcing codes until one of them worked.
It's like if I asked you Parful Jarful and then told you the answer was ketchup. You have no idea why, you just know the answer.
The answer's always ketchup.
And, yeah, the answer is always ketchup. The answer is, yeah, ketchup. The answer is always ketchup. And the question is, what does the World Hot Dog Association say I shouldn't put on my hot dogs? And it's none of their damn business.
Mustard only. So recently, we've known about this glitch for a long time, but we've never actually put it to use. So we found a way we can actually skip opening that door right there and going inside the lighthouse. And it involves climbing on this tree. But as you can see, I can't get there through normal heights. So what I need to do is spawn a cube. And in the achievements of this game, there's actually a code to spawn a cube in game. So if you look at the achievements, you get a code. My controller is acting weird.
Just out of curiosity, what controller do you use for this game?
I just switched to a PS4 controller, and it's actually quite an adjustment since I'm using a D-pad now. Okay. don't know how I just passed through that. I used to use an Xbox One controller, but it makes the corner kicks really hard. The trade-off, though, is with the PS4 controller, it makes actually moving at angles really hard. And that is not high enough. Okay, so I have one more chance to get up there. When we grab a cube, Gomez actually raises a few pixels, and we can manipulate this to actually go enough pixels to grab on this cube. Okay, so I didn't get it, but I grabbed the key, so it won't be an issue.
So if we're on the topic of controllers, I've got to shout mine out because they're getting hard to find now that the company has gone bankrupt. But I use the Mad Catz MLG Pro 360 controller. They are amazing, amazing pads. But ever since Mad Catz went under, they're kind of hard to find now.
I didn't know Mad Catz went under.
Yeah, they're gone. They basically made like a final gambit and put all their money into Rock Band 4 succeeding. Yeah, that company had a storied history. They went from being the official controller of Player 2s and Little Brothers Everywhere to having some of the best fighting game equipment that existed.
I remember they had a really good Mortal Kombat stick.
Yeah, I have their Tournament Edition 2, which is pretty much the last stick they made for my PS4.
So abusing some invisible platforms here. Really sucks I didn't get the lighthouse glitch. Or lighthouse skip. It's going to be interesting to see the time, my final time on this. The world record on this has dropped about 12 minutes in the last 3 or 4 months just due to random crap. So this is the industrial world. Most of this area is just pretty much straight up platforming and using the shifting to close gaps quicker than you would running. Once you reach the industrial area, you know you're in the home stretch. But you can't really rest because it's still pretty difficult. I'm using the death right there. Hopefully we can get this cube with only one animation. Yep. So we got 2 cubes there and only 1 collection animation. Step in front of that, please. So this is an interesting glitch. We can actually gain a butt ton of height if we jump off the very edge of this ladder. That's right, a butt ton. This is always a fun room. You get to see Gomez wibble wobble. Oh! So that's what happens when you play around in speedruns, kids.
Bad things. Do I hear a dog in the background?
No. Yeah.
Nice.
It's my good luck charm. She likes to watch me. She usually likes to bark. The running joke is that I never complete a speedrun without her barking at something. So, grab onto that ledge, jump down here, and I can skip a huge gap. And that's a pretty good example of abusing the shifting perspective. So I went to that room so I could activate the shortcut door. And I'll be using the other one here pretty soon too. The music here is really good, but it's very notorious for glitching out and like becoming a super remix of itself. Kind of hoping it happens just so we can all have a good laugh. No. No! I died. Come on, go, 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 go. Seems I like the moonwalk. Whoa! That was weird. Uh-oh. That tends to happen a lot. This area is very glitchy. Okay, please jump on it. Thank you. There's a weird glitch if you spawn a cube while you're spinning this dealie. It will actually spawn 2 cubes. We consider that cube duplicating though. We don't really allow that. This game has actually already been broken completely wide open. So there are a lot of random things that are banned just to keep the run interesting. Either banned or they have their own category. But there is a way to just infinitely dupe cubes over and over again. Let's see, there's a way to abuse your save files. Actually just start the game in the final room of the game, so you beat the game in like 3 minutes. Of course, a lot of that stuff has been patched out on the current Steam version. pretty much the auto scroller of the game. There's actually a legit auto scroller in the game, but yeah, we skipped that. F that noise. What? Why? I have no idea what just happened. Alright, now time to go see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the game wants us to lower the water up and down, and that's kind of the main mechanic of this sewer level. But we're going to abuse the long jump and just skip all that crap. It's also one of the best songs in the game, in my opinion. And I'm never wrong.
Never, not even once.
Okay. Black holes are kind of annoying here. There's quite a few rooms where they like to spawn a lot. If you fall in the doo-doo water underneath, you die. I think that's pretty much a given. Gomez don't like doo-doo water.
A formerly great YouTuber once said, "Swimming in diarrhea is bad."
Well, it depends on whose it is, you know?
Well, yeah, true. The point they were making is that if you're being the dungeon master when you're playing an RPG, you can't just let your players, like, roam through the sewers without consequences.
You have died of dysentery.
Yep.
This is one of those spots where black holes are really annoying. Okay, long jump didn't work. Okay. Game, please. Getting the animation for the long jump is a lot harder with the PS4 controller for some reason.
Are you using the pad or the stick?
The pad. That's pretty much why I switched to the PS4 controller, because it makes the corner kicks really easy. But it makes certain other things a little bit more difficult if you've been using a joystick for as long as I have. So there is a story to this game, but no one knows what the hell that story is.
Once upon a time, some people on the internet made Phil Fish very sad, and he never made video games again.
That is a top contender for the story of this game.
Sort of like the actual story to Fable 3. Once upon a time, Peter Molyneux lied to everybody. And by once upon a time, I mean like 6 or 7 times upon a time.
This game will revolutionize gaming. So this lava area is one of the areas we would have skipped had I had not been terrible at that lighthouse stuff. The glitch room was one of the other ones we would have skipped. But hey, at least you get to see Ivon and the lava. There's a really long auto scroller if you keep going up, but we've already got an extra cube, so we don't need to do it. And thank God for that, because it's awful.
Every time somebody says auto scroller now, I can't help but hear side scroller. People outside the like FGC might not know too much about that joke, but there was some, I'm assuming, like 10 years old or younger kid who was complaining about the announcement of the new Dragon Ball Fighters game that is coming out. It's made by Arc System Works. It's like a Marvel style fighter, but he was super mad that it was not like the Xenoverse and Budokai type. So he's like, this game is going to be trash because it's a side scroller, but he spelled it like SCHROLER.
Side scroller.
Shitroller.
Budokai 3 though, that game was on point.
Budokai 3 was pretty good, yeah. On a random, weird, tangentially related note, I find it really strange that if you're talking about Trojan, like the horse, or like the company that makes things to protect body parts, you know what I'm talking about, we don't say it like it's written. Like we say Trojan, right?
Yeah.
But it's Trojan. We say CH, Trojan.
What?
Say it and then see if that's how you're saying it.
Trojan. Trojan?
Yeah, we substituted a CH for the T sound. It's super strange.
Oh, not Trojan. Or Trojan.
Yeah, but it'll come out properly if you pretend like you're British and say it in a British accent.
You're talking about condoms and you just said come out.
Lol. Well, the thing, like, I don't understand why you call your condom company Trojan. I really don't. Like, it comes in the night and spills out a bunch of little men everywhere. That's the opposite of what you want your condom to do.
This stream got R-rated.
This Trashathon. Plus, there's like...
There's a lot of condoms in the trash.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Look.
I mean, afterwards.
Chat, if you're here and you care, raise your hand.
I guess that's a no.
Yeah, I mean, we're already talking about balls because testicular cancer is a thing. You gotta get people to stop being scared of talking about balls because balls need to be talked about.
Balls do need to be talked about. Alright, so there's pretty much just a couple areas left in the game. We're going back to the forest so we can go to the graveyard. Lore-wise, I don't know how there's things in the graveyard because you had to collect a cube to even leave the village. So how do they get their dead to the graveyard? This game doesn't make any sense.
Here lies Phil Fish's feelings.
So you enter that door and exit and suddenly, whoa, it's raining.
It's a me, Mario.
Alright. So this is one of my favorite areas because it means the run's almost over, and I hate long speed runs.
Man, you are not gonna enjoy Seasons After Fall.
I can watch long speed runs, I just can't participate in long speed runs.
3.5 hour Let's Play incoming.
I also run Eternal Darkness, and my PB is like 3 hours, and I don't run it very often.
I'm still working on that TPHD Hundo run. Casual 8 hours, no biggie.
So this room, if we would have collected the 4 owls through the game, they would come here and then they would open this door that I'm standing at right now, but grabbing that extra cube at the clock tower let us skip all the owls. So yay for that. Oh, of course, black holes. Just once. So the invisible platforms here, you can see rain bouncing off of them, and then whenever the lightning strikes, you can see them. So this is one of the areas you're just kind of supposed to figure it out on your own. There's nothing that tells you they're there. So I don't door glitch to this room because it's kind of 50-50 that the game will soft lock or not. I just indoor the zoom in. That's a term us Fez runners throw around a lot. Soft lock.
I'm being asked how far ahead of schedule are we?
Not at all.
We're pretty much right on. So you said a, 115 estimate?
Approximately. I might be really close to that. Considering how awful this one is going. Gotta love that marathon run.
I mean, it's fine, because even then we have a 45-minute break planned.
$115 was kind of where we expected the run to kind of die out at. And then recently, just kind of figured out some new things, and I pushed it all the way down to 107. So the world record right now is 1 hour and 7 minutes. Held by yours truly.
Do you think it'll ever get to sub-hour?
I don't know. There'd have to be something else discovered, I think. It's possible. Well, I wasn't paying attention and just soft locked the game. So basically, I'm not supposed to door glitch here, and I did it anyway on accident because I wasn't paying attention. And this is what happens. I can't leave this area, so I have to relaunch the game. It's possible to get it sub 1 hour if you're a task, but for human beings, the movement is just too difficult. Like, you can do. There are actually frame perfect jumps in this game, and the task can do them consistently. But for humans, it's damn near impossible. But that's kind of the beauty of this speedrun, is that there's always ways to save time. So the record's always up for grabs. There's always ways to be a little bit more optimized than the previous person. Alright, this room has like pretty much the last glitch in it, the last major glitch. There's a puzzle where you're supposed to spin these skulls, and you have to face them all to the front. For some reason, once you face them all to the front, the skull spins around and it lets you open the door here, but for some reason they didn't put any hit detection, so you can just go through the door. You don't you don't have to do any of the puzzle. Now we play cleanup. There's a few little bits and a few little cubes we have to collect. And then we'll go to the end of the game. So I have to wait till those doors open all the way to go through this door, or else I'll come back out and they won't be opened, which is a pain in the butt. Oops, I need to go in here. No. Down. So this next area is a pain in the butt. It's only a pain in the butt because it's so slow. You're at the end of the game and it's like you gotta wait for this long zoom in, and it's an area that I really want to skip, but it has a cube and 2 bits in it. There's just no way to really skip it efficiently. There's nothing else you can do instead that's actually faster. This will be the last code input for the game. Use that ladder to clip through the wall. Now we go to, I would say the final map of the game, but there's actually another map that we go to inside of this map. So we've actually been to this town before. It's just we visited it at different points in history. So this game has kind of an element of going through time and space and whatnot. Like I said, there's a story, but I don't know what it is. that's the last cube. So now we open this door and we find a portal. When we found this in the past, it was all black holed out and destroyed and everything. Or actually, the one we found was in the future. This is in the past. Or something. You know, time travel.
I feel like that's the tagline of this game. Fez or something.
Fez. Yeah. Stuff happens.
Or
So
doesn't.
now, we get to go to the moon for some reason. So I've been able to put together that these aliens came to the planet and gave the owls the ability to turn their heads, which lets them see the world in 3D. And then the owls were worshipped by the people.
Oh, yeah, if they could look left and right. That's holy right there. That's spiritual.
Spiritual. You know, you get spiritual. Of course, once humanity figured out the world was in 3 dimensions, they almost destroyed humanity. Which is why there's like a graveyard zone and whatnot.
I looked left and right too hard. My neck snapped.
So, being that we're on the moon, of course, moon physics. So we did all this time traveling, but Gomez forgot to cure his bonitis, so... Now we have Nega Gomez. The evil version of the real Gomez. So this is where we put the hypercube that we broke in the beginning back together.
Dude, there is seriously something wrong with your GameCube. I've never seen this glitch before. All I wanted to do was move data on my memory card.
And the game crashed again, of course. But not for real. Just in the game. And time will be here in a second as soon as I walk through this door, so... Time is now. So I still have control of Gomez, but nothing I do matters. This is actually just part of the ending cutscene. And this will be the true ending of the game, so... Spoilers incoming.
Is the story happy end?
No.
Oh, fair enough. 1:15:22.85, by the way.
Okay. So, I'm a little bit overestimate. It was a really bad run, but, you know, I chalked that up to marathon luck.
Marathons be like that.
So basically, it's just kind of zooming out. The two endings, the one you get if you only get 32 cubes or whatever, you zoom into Gomez and kind of see like his atoms and stuff while it plays like Chopin sad music over him. The true ending of the game is kind of zooms out as far as possible. These are all the different planets in the universe. And then it turns out that
It was Minecraft all along.
there are a bunch of multiverses, which actually Dot, our companion, was a universe inside of a universe. Universeception. All right, and that's Fez. Thanks for sticking with me. It's a pretty awful run, but this is a really fun game. It's an interesting game in that it's pretty much 100% movement based, so it requires a lot of concentration, a lot of consistency to really get good times at. If anyone is interested in running it, it is very cheap on Steam. Now, you won't be able to run this version unless you do some finagling, but we have on our speedrun.com, our page on speedrun.com is just capital FEZ. You can actually just ask and we'll help you get an old version if you want to run 209.4%.
They can hook you up.
Other than that, I'm done here. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks so much for the run. That was Fez in 1:15:22.85. Up next, we're going to have a relatively long break because our next run is not until 9 p.m. my time, which is 45 minutes from now. So now would be an excellent time to go to the bathroom, take a shower, have a beer run, order pizza, do whatever you got to do. I'm going to get some music going, and we will see you quite soon. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you shortly.